Hi, I'm Venus O'Hara and welcome to another video. Today is day 7 of VLOGMAS and today I'm going to talk about age gap relationships. Someone asked me my opinion on age gap relationships and, well, there are many factors to take into consideration. For example, is it serious? Is it a fling? How old are the people involved? That's a big thing as well. And what stage of life are you in? For example, I think if one of the people is, let's say, around in their 20s, I think it's better to be with people who are a similar age. Because I think, let's say, a 10-year gap when someone's 20 and 30, that's a big gap. Because a lot happens between 20 and 30, a lot of growth about life and exploration happens at that time. So if you can have a 10-year gap, it's probably better if the younger person is 20 or let's say 30 and above, that kind of thing. That's something I believe. And also once you get into, let's say, late 30s or 40s, then you can be attracted, an age gap can work with people who are a little bit younger, a little bit older as well. I'm talking about a 10-year gap here, maybe 15 if you're pushing it. But in general, I think it's always probably better to stay with people of a similar age because you are in the same generation, you have the same cultural references, and that's something that can be really evident when you are with someone who's from a very different age from you. You know, someone who might not be into the same technological trends, who doesn't know the same music. It can be a learning experience, of course, but I think also it depends on if you're in it for the long run. I mean, let's say a 20-year gap might be fun if you're 30 and 50, but what about when you get a lot older and it's 50 and 70? You know, people can be in good shape and take care of themselves, which definitely helps things. But there can be, you might want very different things from life, and that's something to take into consideration. So I think it's older lovers have their charm, as do younger lovers. There's something very alluring about experience. There's something very alluring about youth as well, and beauty and aesthetics. That's definitely something. And also someone who's kind of more how would I say, naive and a bit less set in their ways. That's also got its charm for sure. But I'm going to share a couple of my experiences with age gaps. Well, I remember when I was about 19 or 20, I was working. Well, I'm not going to give too many. I was working as a waitress at the weekend, and I had a friend that I worked with. Well, she wasn't a friend; she was a colleague. And she's a very similar age to me. And her dad used to come into the pub and everyone thought her dad was so cool. This guy was so cool. He was kind of an old dad. He had long hair and he used to get free drinks and everyone kind of like gravitated around him. And he used to say to me all the time that I was beautiful, a beautiful girl. And I just thought he meant that in a kind of protective, paternal way. However, when he tried to kiss me, I was absolutely horrified. I just thought, you could be my dad. Don't you have any standards? Where are your, what are your values? Where are your boundaries? It was a big wake-up call for me about male desire. And I know that might sound a little bit bad, but I just was, I think at that age, I was an idealist as far as maturity was concerned. I thought people would in life get to a point where they would become enlightened and wise, and that's what I believed, and I realized that was not true at all. Some people just don't care, and those things really make a big impression on you when you're that age as well. So yeah, I was absolutely horrified and disillusioned, I think, with male desire. It was very, very hard for me to actually deal with that. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, but it still made me incredibly uncomfortable. And it was just very disillusioned. Very disillusioned. Then a few years later, when I was about 25, which is a big difference between 19, 20 and 25, massive growth there. I'd lived in Paris, I'd lived in Birmingham, and now I was living in Barcelona. I lived in Madrid as well. So I had a lot of different experiences between those two ages in just 5 years. And I found myself working in a company, and I had a client in Switzerland, and there were no smartphones at the time, but it was, let's just say, this client and we started to, our work emails became personal phone calls, and I used to really look forward to having excuses to actually call him and be in touch with him for work reasons. But then I ended up giving him my personal phone number. We ended up talking for hours, and he used to talk about his life in a farm with all these animals and countryside, and I was like, wow, he completely transported me to a different reality. And I thought, I'm going to go and meet you in Switzerland. Wow. Anyway, he sent me a picture of him that was, let's just say, of his face, and I thought, oh, he's okay. Then I get there, and let's just say the photo is probably about 10 years out of date. And it was just of his face. I didn't see the rest of his body. He was very overweight. And I was thinking, oh my God, this guy is just, he's a lot older than I am. And also I'm just not attracted to him at all. Now I have to spend 3 days with him. And that's where I'm going to leave that story. Anyway, it was very uncomfortable. And I thought maybe it's just best to just be with people your own age, who live in the same city. And so other small reflections on age gaps. I think I prefer to be with people who are a little bit older than me. I think 10 years is a good gap. 10 years is pretty good. And I think when you get to, let's say, 30s and even 40s, you can be attracted to people who are older and younger, and it can kind of work depending on your lifestyle. That's very important as well. But in general, I do like to be the younger one, the more inexperienced one, the one who's going to learn from the older, wiser one. But I am flattered when younger people come on to me, and that happens quite a lot actually, which is I find very, 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 very flattering. For example, there's a guy who works at a shop that I go to a lot. And he's just like, he's about 20. This guy's got such a baby face, and he's always almost mesmerized when he sees me, like, I love your eyes, you're so guapa. And I'm like, oh my God, I could be your mum. It's kind of weird. Sometimes I feel uncomfortable going to the shop when I know he's going to be there, but I really want the products from his shop. And then other times I think, oh my God, I've got no makeup on, I look terrible. I don't really want him. He's going to think, I don't think you're guapa. I don't know. It's a very weird situation. But yeah, in general, it's quite flattering when younger people make remarks like that. But I would never really, do anything with that type of attention. It's just kind of flattering. Thank you very much. Let's get on with my day. I would never, I couldn't imagine pursuing someone of a different age like that. There's just too many different things in common. And I think you wouldn't want to rob someone's youth. Let's say if you're at a stage of your life where you've decided, let's say, not to have kids, and you don't want to have that. I think you don't want to take that away from someone else if they're in a different generation, and they might be at the beginning of life. And I think that's something that's also people don't think about enough, because what you want today might not be what you want tomorrow. Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to share with you as well that I have been interviewing the most interesting people for my podcast. And over the next few weeks, I'm going to be sharing some incredible interviews from a midlife dating coach, from a divorce attorney who's written a book about dating, and just so many interesting topics that related to love, relationships, and intimacy that I cannot wait to share them. So it's a real pleasure to make this video today about age gap relationships. And I would love to know what you think. Another thing I don't think I've mentioned here is sometimes as well, another factor is whether it's the woman who's older or the man who's older. I think there's a lot of prejudice when it's the older woman. My phone is so full. I really need to get a new one. I will in the next few days. Anyway, so about the woman being older. One film that I absolutely adore, one of my favorite films of all time, is The Graduate. It's so good. And it's about a guy who's a graduate, and he has this very hot affair with his friend or girlfriend's, is it his girlfriend? Her mum anyway, or someone he's dating. I don't think they've had sex. But anyway, this woman is very sophisticated, and she has a kind of experience or sophistication that only experience and wisdom can provide. And that just highlights how seductive an older woman can be. Yeah. But I don't think it's a serious thing. But anyway, I love that film. I think it's something that that it's kind of good to see a bit more often, rather than, because we're quite used to these representations of, let's say, men going with younger women. That's something we see a lot more in life. Another film I really loved is the Good Luck to You, Leo Grand, which actually I did review on this channel. And it's Emma Thompson who's discovering her sexuality at a very advanced age with a young male gigolo. And that's a very interesting film about ageism as well, and aging sexual response. And speaking of aging sexual response, I've also interviewed for my podcast an expert on male aging sexuality, which is going to be coming up very soon. So check out my podcast, The Orgasmic Lifestyle, on any podcast platform. So I'm very excited to share more content about relationships with you. And if you have any other ideas for videos that you'd like me to make about sexuality, intimacy, relationships, healthy lifestyle, or anything else, or even toys, please let me know, and I will be very enthusiastic about making them. So thank you so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with some more Vlogmas. Mwah. And tell me what you think about age gap relationships in the comments below. Thank you.